use a script that was pushed from MCOM. I'm gonna go back and forth a little bit from that script, but I want it to be the same because it comes from our leadership, and I want to ensure that there's no confusion. Okay, and we're training to standard on this. Not that I don't trust you, but we're going to keep this a pretty tight shot group. Okay, not a lot of variance in this program. I'm going to push this out. Chris is going to record this. We're going to take this video and then push that out to all of our other employees that are working different hours. So our different shift works, individuals that are off today, etc. Directors, as questions, as discussions come up, that's where you come in. You're going to be fielding those questions. You're going to be working with your division chiefs, your supervisors to answer those questions and facilitate the training. But the first thing starts with my guidance and my direction based on the MCOM commander's train the trainer program that he had put out. And that's kind of how we're going to run this. Okay. We will be complete with all the extremism stand down teaches no later than the 29th of March. The 29th of March. And that's why we're doing this on a video program. That's why I got all of you here today, so you can facilitate that in your own organizations, push down that training, and then come up. Okay. Hey, some of this is going to sound like I'm reading, which I am. I'm reading from the boss's notes. I'm reading from Department of the Army guidance. And then some of this is discussion. Hey, at any time, if you have questions, concerns, or you think maybe I'm missing the mark, or maybe I'm just not covering it, I ask you to chime in. Raise your hand. I can see it on the screen here. Chris can talk to me, or one of you guys can pop on the mic, and then we can I can pause there and answer your questions on this. Okay. There are 2 videos in here that I would like you to see. We're going to push those 2 videos out. So one is from Secretary of Defense, General Lloyd Austin, or now Honorable Lloyd Austin. But yeah, so that one's out there. And then the other video is, let me pull it up here. The other video is from Department of the Army on impermissible behaviors of reporting procedures. So how do you identify extremism behaviors? How do you report it, and who do you report it, and what's the reporting chain for that piece? It's really listed in impermissible behaviors. Okay, so Chris will send those out, and I ask that you and the team watch those, please. Okay, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And first of all, I'm going to tell you why we're doing this, right? So today we're going to conduct a mandated Headquarters Department of the Army extremism stand down and discuss the ill effects of extremism within our ranks. This training is mandatory, and all military and Department Army civilians are required to attend. And as I said earlier, this is the process. We're going to start with the directors. I'd ask you to take this video and push it down at echelon throughout our employee workforce. This training will follow the directed Headquarters of Department of the Army documents in order to ensure that we baseline our Army with one message. And it's a command-led training at echelon. I know I have representatives from our legal team. Obviously, I have our EEO team up on here, our PAO team as well, all to ensure that we are within guidance of Headquarters Department of the Army. And they, as all of us here, stand ready to assist you in guiding you forward through this training or any questions after the training that may rise. And so if you have follow-on questions after you kind of review this and go, hey, I didn't really understand this. What do you mean by this? That's the team that's here to help. Okay, so please utilize them. They're the guardian angels, right? As Miss McCullough likes to say. Hey, I'd like you to pay close attention to the videos as well, and then follow up with a discussion on how to extinguish extremism, ideology, and the associated acts that run counter to good order and discipline within inside our Army. Extremist ideology is not new to our ranks, but we cannot allow this ideology to gain traction again or erode our core values. And so why are we conducting the stand down? For those of you that have not been paying attention, our SecDef, our Secretary of Defense, signed a memorandum on 5 February of 2021, directing the stand down at echelon. The primary reason for the training is to communicate that acts of extremism, one, is not acceptable, nor will they be tolerated in the Army. The Army's #1 priority remains our people. So we are proactively addressing these issues to remove these activities from within our ranks and provide an environment of conducive to good order and discipline. And hey, teammates, if that's a surprise to you, you're probably in the wrong profession, because that is something that we have always stood for and will continue to stand for. Every now and then we need to remind one another, remind our newer employees, our workforce, that, hey, this is our values. These are the Army values. This is how we treat one another, and it will not be tolerated at any organization or any times. Hey, I can assure you that your command continues to strengthen an environment free of discrimination, hate, and harassment in order to provide a culture where everyone will be shown dignity and respect. If you have not read my policy letters, it is not like any other, it's not different than any other policy letter that you've seen. And reiterate what I just said earlier. Bottom line, it's not tolerated, won't be tolerated. Hey, my intent for this training is to make it known that anyone actively supporting ideologies that encourage discrimination, hate, and harassment against others will not be tolerated in this organization or any of the ranks. I expect that the core principles of dignity and mutual respect guide actions of all personnel at all times, to include the conversations that are going to be here today. Hey, extremist activities degrades the very fabric in which our Army values are based. Furthermore, impermissible behaviors desecrate the oaths of office that both our military and civilian personnel, and it instills mistrust in the American people. So SecDef talked about the oath, and I believe that was the active duty oath. But as Department of the Army civilians and active duty personnel, we have all taken an oath. And so one of the things that I'd ask you to do, and we'll talk about the 3 things that we're going to accomplish here, is revisit that oath, just like Secretary of Defense said. AMC, Army Materiel Command, right, our headquarters, MCOM's #1 priority remains people. Therein lies a most important asset for success. Leaders, us, we have the inherent responsibility to protect against extreme behaviors and to ensure everyone receives dignity and respect. So General Gabram has directed the implementation of "This is my organization" as our mantra. And so many of you are familiar with "This is my squad" for the green suiters, right? This is my squad, and it's a mantra against sexual harassment and sexual assault. And Harsheen is very well aware of that program. And we have adopted that at echelon, right? And so this is my squad, meaning I take care of my teammates. I take care of my brothers and sisters to the left and to the right of me. And so the CG has taken the same aspect, but a little bit bigger umbrella. This is my organization. This is my proud moment. This is part of my family. This is my organization underpins our comprehensive and deliberate effort to weed out destructive and impermissible behaviors to improve climate and organizational performance. It is the responsibility of every MCOM soldier and civilian employee to actively support and adopt "This is my organization" initiatives into our culture. The vast majority of men and women in the United States military, for those that serve in the Department of Defense as civilian employees, perform their duties responsibilities with the utmost integrity. They do not support racially and ethically motivated violent extremists, to include white supremacists and other domestic terrorists, such as anti-government violent extremists. However, recent events have shown that we must be vigilant in our efforts to identify and combat such ideology within the ranks and organizations. So we're going to get to here's the 4 goals I want to get to today, okay? Review the meaning of our oaths. the oaths that we have taken to become member of the United States military and Department of Defense civilian employees. Review impermissible conduct and behaviors, those actions that are prohibited under the applicable law or under DoD, military department, or military service policies current in effect. Review the responsibilities of reporting to our chain of command when we observe or learn of prohibited actions, as well as signs of potential future problems. And lastly, the Secretary and Chief want your feedback. We want your feedback on what actions should be considered in combating the issue. And I want to know those things firsthand. And so we do the DOCs, right? We do brown bag sessions. I have an open door policy. We have ICE comments. We have several avenues other than just picking up the telephone and calling me or one of the other leaders here. I want to know. I want to know how we can, what are other ways that we can move forward together to rid our ranks of extremist behaviors. All right, so number one, let's kind of look at our oaths, right? We've each taken that oath to support and defend the Constitution and to do our jobs to the best of our ability. We expect our military service members and our DoD civilian employees to be guided by their actions on that oath and to have a professional ethic that prioritizes the team, the mission, and the nation. You are essential to our success, and we need you on that team. Never forget that being on our team is an honor and a privilege. You serve at one of the most respected institutions in America, and that comes with added responsibilities and obligations. You are held to a higher professional standards and must set that example in all that you say and that you do. Many of you guys serve in positions of trust, meaning you have access to classified information or you serve in sensitive positions. Those of you in leadership and supervisory positions are entrusted with the well-being of individual service members, civilian employees, as well as the overall well-being of the organization. All of you are expected to do the right thing, to look out for one another, and to work together to overcome what challenges any of those missions may present. Those of you in the military, the active duty personnel, are held to a higher standard because service members are subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the added appropriate accountability inherent in maintaining good order and discipline, which is essential for a fighting force. Service members and DoD employees alike recognize that due to the unique character of military community and mission, speech that interferes or prevents orderly accomplishment of the mission or presents clear danger to loyalty, discipline, mission, or morale to the troops may be restricted under some circumstances. Similar, speech in the workplace that interferes with mission, espouses extremist or discriminatory doctrine, or is disrespectful and harmful to colleagues will have additional consequences. Hey, so I want to expand on that a little bit. Hey, so because of our position, because of the office in which we hold, because we took an oath, we don't have the same, we are not given the same leeway as freedom of speech as potentially our relatives or civilian employees that do not serve in these positions. Because when we speak, because when we do things that erode, that affect the discipline, mission, morale of troops, that interferes with the orderly accomplishment of the mission or clear and present danger to loyalty, all of those things are clear violation of the oath that you took. And if you don't abide by that oath, ladies and gentlemen, find another job because this ain't it. This ain't it. This is a profession that requires you to uphold that oath every day. Any sway from that, there's no gray area. It's pretty black and white. Any sway in that, resign. I'm not asking you to, I'm telling you to. If you can't abide by it, resign. It's pretty clear and simple. It's not tolerated. The Department of Defense has a compelling interest in preventing the advent and spread of hate groups and activities within the department, as well as guarding against illegal discrimination. The Department of Defense also fosters a military that is politically neutral and is disciplined, recruiting and sustaining in all volunteer forces sufficient strength and quality to provide for the nation's security and to sustain that security over time. So some officers, and I know that you all vary in our career, right? Experiences differ, but I have known some officers that have chosen not to vote. I vote in the elections, but we understand if you have questions about the Hatch Act, please ask our lawyers. You understand that you cannot participate in political activities while in uniform, while serving in a post of official capacity for the government. I cannot participate in political activities. As a private civilian, please enjoy that freedom, enjoy that right. But you don't attribute it to your position in which you currently hold in the Department of Defense. They're separated. That's a layman's way of describing that. If you have questions on your left and right, can you participate in political campaigns? Yes. However, there's some limitations to that, right? Can you voice your freedom of speech outside the post? Yes. However, there's some limitations in that because of the position that you hold. Please, like I talked about our guardian angels here that I referred to them. If you have questions about that, ask our legal team. Ask our reps on here. They'd be happy to share those with you, and ask it with your chain of command. Ask it with your supervisors. Ask it with your directors. Ask it with me, Sergeant Major, Deputy. I'd be happy to share those with you. Real now. So you can always seek advice from your chain of command, your supervisors, your public affairs, your legal office before making any statements, publishing materials, whether it's in a letter to an editor on a newspaper, posting on a social media site, or simply asking questions about what you want to say or participate in. That doesn't violate any rights. Please do so. It keeps you out of trouble, right? And says that, hey, I'm concerned. I want to make sure, one, that I'm still supporting the team. This is my organization. But as an American, I want to voice some freedoms. I want to actively use those freedoms that we all fight for and cherish so much. And so, hey, I want to make sure I'm still within my left and right. Hey, ask, man. That's clearly all right. Okay, and I encourage you to do so. Last thing I'd say is remember how our oaths end. With varying language, however, they all end with the premise that's pretty clear that says, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think that's self-explanatory. Hey, the next piece I'm going to talk about that kind of closes up the oaths. The next piece that we're going to talk about is impermissible behaviors and how that reporting should take place within the chain of command and within our organization. So impermissible behaviors, extremist activities, acts, regardless of how small in nature, will be reported. And so what does that mean, right? What does that mean for this organization? So in the video, they talked about I watch, I salute, reporting through Army CID. Yes, all of that is applicable. Here's what I want to focus on with U.S. Army Garrison, Fort Stewart, Hunter Army Airfield. The first time you let something go, it then becomes an acceptable behavior or becomes the new standard. And a lot of us are already used to that saying, right? You know, when you're just coming in the Army, a young NCO, young officer, and you walk by a piece of paper on the ground, that has now become your standard. If you don't pick it up, they now assume that, well, that's the way the boss wants it. He can have trash there. If you allow impermissible behavior that is contrary or against good order and discipline, the simple, common rule of treating others with dignity and respect, then that has now become the standard in the organization. If I'm not clear so far, that will not become the standard in this organization. It is not the standard in the Army. It is not a standard anywhere, and it will not be tolerated. And the first step in stopping that is by reporting it. If you have questions, we have just a plethora of experts and capabilities ranging from CID to, well, our lawyer teams, our EEO teams, all of us can assist with answering that. But the first step is standing up your hand and saying, hey, I think this is wrong. And I tell you what, teammates, if you think it's wrong, it probably freaking is, right? But that's the first step in making it happen, is saying something about it and saying, hey, this isn't right, man. It didn't sound right. It didn't smell right. It probably isn't right, okay? But once you do that, then we continue with a regular CCIR. It'll go up through DPTMS. We will contact the agency, whichever agency it is, whether that be CID, or you can report that. You know what, team, is just like IG. It's just like those other organizations that you don't have to use your chain of command, because if it is, for some weird freaking circumstance, it is someone in your chain of command that you think is not doing what they should be doing, you can use iSalute, you can use iWatch, you can use those other programs. Hey, nothing what I'm saying today prohibits you in using those other agencies or programs. That's what they're there for, okay? The big piece I ask you to do as leaders and directors in this organization is ensure our employees understand that. And ensure our employees understand that they have multiple avenues that they can reach out to. Hey, we're gonna close this piece up. I want to summarize a couple things. First, hey, we started off with why the SecDef directed the Army, or directed the Department of Defense to conduct a stand down, right? Charged all of us to stamp out destructive behavior within our organizations. And we talked about our oath, why we take our oaths. It's more of just something that's you do when you when you come into the military and you want a contract to start getting paid. It's more than just onboarding procedures as a Department of the Army civilian. It's more than just raising your hand and joining a club. It's an oath. It's an oath that we hold dear. It's an oath that we will stand next to our brothers and sisters on our left and right and protect our family, protect the organization, and to serve in a capacity for the betterment of the nation, right? And that's what our job is. And that's what that oath is about, okay? We talked about the video of, impermissible behaviors, the one that just popped up, and what is the reporting procedures for those. Just to reiterate, our reporting procedures, you have a couple different options with extreme behavior, iSalute and iWatch, but your chain of command is always available, all right? Even outside of your chain of command as the garrison, you have the division chain of command, the senior commanders, specific chain of command. I reiterate the fact that the first step in stopping this cancer, in stopping this erosion, is to report. And that's your duty, both as junior employees all the way up to me and all the way up, to hire to the CG. It is our duty. It is our responsibility, because not only do we serve in that capacity, but that's what we do to take care of one another. Hey, the last thing I'll say is the Army needs your help. Needs your help to eradicate pervasive ideology that runs counter to our core values and is spreading rapidly throughout social media outlets. And the only way to do it is to say something about it, to say something that you care enough, not only about the family, not only about the organization, the Department of the Army, but you care about, more importantly, about one another. Just take a stance, stop it, educate, and then move forward.